God, bro.
What's up, everybody? It's Stephen Pacheco, also known as Steph the Pharaoh across the interweb. I'm here today with my family, my brothers, Inhouse Collective. We got Jordan, we got Benz, we got Kay from Faraway, and I'm super stoked about this episode. I mean, it's been a long time coming, and I just think it's overall divine timing for this episode, mainly because we got Inhouse. You know, and I always say it in my mind when I'm listening to their music. I think I'm blocking you from the light, Kay, but I say it in my mind when I'm listening to their music. It's not the beat's not complete without Inhouse on the beat. You know what I mean? So yeah, I want to share with everybody what you guys got going on. You released an album this year, Everything Inhouse. Man, I mean, where do we start? Where do we start?
I mean, that album was years of work, man.
Yeah.
Like most people will see it and assume it happened in a span of months or a year, but it's like really, like, if you go and look through all those songs, like some of them date back as far as 2019. You know what I mean? That maybe it just started as a beat and then just an idea, and then we used it later on. You know?
Okay. And for a lot of people that don't know, Everything In-House, what does that mean? Not just everything in-house, but the name Inhouse Collective, because I know what it is. We've talked about it. We've, meditated on it. I mean, we've done videos together. And I mean, I've been in a part of your guys' life now. I mean, since you guys were in high school, you guys are young men. You guys are doing your thing out here. You're working, you're grinding. And on top of that, you're progressing towards your goals in music and everything. And, I'm like I said, I'm excited that you guys are here right now. We got the MacBook acting up a little bit, but nonetheless, everything in-house. Anybody want to fill me in?
I say it's like a motivation for like do-it-yourself DIY. Like, we're in 2023. We're at the age of like there's so much out there where you could literally do like anything you want. Like I feel like that's what in-house represents. We wrote all our songs, we produced all the songs, mixed, mastered, engineered, everything.
Ooh. And that was important to us, I feel like.
Yeah.
We wanted to make it, like, just from scratch, like, everything that we kind of, like, envisioned in our head, we just kind of wanted to put it out into the world, like, without any, like, kind of, like, obviously we have drawn inspiration from other places, but we wanted to make something, like, original, like,
us,
everything us, and we wanted to feel like us, essentially, and I think that's kind of plays into the representation of what in-house is, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So for everybody listening, I mean, that means that you literally created the beats. You did everything yourself, whether it be, and I mean, I know all of you guys write as well, but the beats, I mean, they just came from like sounds, essentially, you're saying?
Mostly from scratch, but there's some samples, there's some like loops. Like loops, but mostly from scratch. Coming from whether it was Jordan playing like a drum loop and then we built off of that, or it was me like playing piano, or it was Kay playing making something that we could build.
I always hear guitar in there and I'm just like, man, I know that's either Kay.
That's Kay, man. That's Kay all the time, man.
I love it. I tell my girlfriend all the time, I'm like, that guitar though, listen to the guitar.
That's all Kay, bro.
Yeah, 100%. No, yeah, I handled like we all handled we all had our played our part in creating everything on the album. Like, so we'd write and produce and play instruments and do everything, but that was like the main goal is like, okay, like we want to do everything in-house, essentially, like no pun intended, obviously. But that's how we did it, and that's why I feel so strongly about like what we stand for as in everything's in-house, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I known you guys, like I said, dating back, years. It's documented, on the Instagram, on all my personal pages, and like it's something that I believed in, and we were kind of capitalizing it, talking about this earlier, Kay. I mean, we're family. You know, we go back. I've known you since you were a little boy. You know what I'm saying? And you know, me, my brother, we grew up with you and your dad, and you know, my uncle Patrick, and he's been a musician all his life. And from when I was a kid, I seen him play literally every instrument. So what's cool about this, and why I believe so heavily in you guys, because obviously there's talent and everything here, skill, ambition, but it's that drive, and it just reminds me of when I was a kid, and listening to all of your music. And I've told you on phone calls, personal phone calls, a group message, and I've told you, like, you know, what you're doing is amazing, number one, and you can tell like that you're passionate about it. And that I always tell you guys, like, hey man, I believe in you. It allows me to dream. You know, it allows me to dream because I can hear it in just everything that you guys are doing. But to say that, I want to kind of talk a little bit about it and take them back even further and talk about, like, when did you guys individually, we can go, you know, through the list, but when did you guys realize that you liked music, making music, or, you know, whatever it might have been that drew you down the path that you're on right now?
You know, like, I think without even knowing it, from a very, very young age, I was very, like, there was a pull, you know, something pulled me towards music. My dad made music, my uncles made music. So I think maybe without realizing, like, from a very young age, like, I had such a passion for music, you know, like, I love singing, and it just was a matter of time, like, to where I decided, okay, like, this is what I want to do. I love this, and I want to do this, you know?
Yeah. And I know, Kay, did you get inspiration from your dad also, would you say?
Yeah, so like when I was younger, I think music was just always there, you know? Like it was weird to me it was like a thing when I thought every kind of kid grew up like this, you know? Like they had just instruments at the disposal of their hand, you know? Like, and it would just, that was what I thought, because I wasn't exposed to much else, you know? And then when I got older, I realized, like, okay, it's not like that, like how I think it is, you know? And like, and I'm just like, okay, maybe I'm the weird one, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, but
well, I mean, not to put you on blast, but I remember when you were like maybe 5 years old, you know, you and my brother were playing in my room when we were staying at my grandmother's house, and your dad was like, "Hey, Kay, come sing," and he would just make you literally sing songs, exactly. And we would just laugh, brother. Like we were young, and we were just like, "Kay singing, like no way," you know what I'm saying? But he would sing, and your dad would make you get all into it, like passionate, you know. But that's awesome to see it transpire, and I know that on a deep level, that's probably would I be wrong in saying that's maybe how you guys connected in a way?
Me and my father?
Like no, everybody in the collective.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I feel like
it wasn't like something that we had to force, but it was almost like something that a higher power brought to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was meant to be. Like I believe that 100%. Yeah.
And what about you, Jordan? Would you say like music? Back to that question about music. Like, how did you get your start? When did you find that knack for it?
I mean, honestly, I say maybe my brother and my dad. You know, they'd always play music, and I feel like I was always the one, you know, hanging out with friends or whatever. Because, I mean, I remember I met Kay probably 5th grade, but me and Benson met later, like freshman year probably. But I'd say since
in
like,
high school, freshman year in high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'd say like I was always the one like playing music, you know, rapping along to the songs, and you know I noticed like no one else really like did that. I mean, until I met like these guys, you know, we always rap together. But I mean, like Ben said, it's always been there, like as a gravitational pull towards it. So.
And we finally got this set up. You know what I mean? How you guys feeling?
Great.
I'm so happy to be here, man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a blessing for real.
Yeah. Hey, we're blessed, brother. We're blessed, and we want to continue to pass that wisdom, that knowledge to people to bless them. And that's my main goal with the podcast, you know, to also shed light on projects that I believe in, and Everything's In-House is one that I do believe in. I mean, you guys have been making music now, I mean, for a very long time. I mean, from when you guys were in high school. Talk about it a little bit. When did you guys each individually get your start and your taste into music, and when was that something that you wanted to pursue? When did you guys know?
So for me, I mean, since like a little child, I guess I was just always rapping along, you know. I had an older brother. His friends would come through the garage and make songs, little parodies, I mean, but at the end of the day, it was always songs, you know. And then I remember I was just writing, you know, I fell in love with rap, and then just writing along, and then I found out these guys were also writing, and just like it's kind of like
Like secretly?
I mean, I guess,
Yeah.
that's probably not how they intended it, but it's like fate of the universe. Like I was writing, and I was like, PJ is who connected us. He's like
A mutual friend of ours.
mutual friend. He's like, these guys also make music. I'm like, oh shit.
Got some technical difficulties real quick. We got it situated here. Hold on.
We were at the car, bro. Like, I swear.
Bro, when he first pulled up, that's what I said. I was just like, bro,
Nah, even
Oh, when
the
it
boss.
fell, when it
bro,
fell,
it's
when it fell.
spirits. It's just spirits, bro. And like
It's all good,
this
good.
honestly happens to me in my life a lot. And when I was younger, I started to notice these things, and I'm just like, bro, you can be upset, you could draw your energy, and it can go that way, and you can start thinking like, dude, I'm screwed. Like I got all these
Yeah.
problems, and bro, they never stop, and they never
Never
will, no
stop,
matter,
yeah, exactly.
no
They
matter.
feed off of it.
Exactly. No matter the successes, the accomplishments, whatever, you're checking the boxes, bro. This stuff happens every day. And the people that I see that are successful are the people that are able to handle those problems and keep moving forward regardless of everything that's happening.
Amen.
And
fire.
in business and literally in everything, bro. In the last couple of years, I've been, on this entrepreneurial path for like 3 years now. And I'm starting to see a lot of the fruits of my labor in the past. But bro, when I was back, thinking like in the past, I was thinking like, what's going to happen when all these things go wrong? Like I was starting to count all of the negatives in my mind of like pursuing, different types of things that I do like right now, like solar, real estate, Airbnb, all of these things, right? I'm like, oh, well, what if, right? And that I was focused on the what if for too long. And it wasn't until that I was just like, screw it. Well, we'll figure it out when that happens,
Yeah.
Law of
oh, well,
Like it's gonna it's gonna happen regardless.
Exactly. And I just wanted to mention that because, man, how many times, like this is take number 3, I'll end up chopping this in there. But, things happen with what we're dealt. And it's like you can't really complain about the hand you're dealt. It's making the best of that hand.
How
in
you
that
handle
moment.
it.
Fire, yeah.
Exactly. And I'm sure that in your guys' lives, in your
yeah,
careers,
definitely.
in your endeavors, I'm sure that this has happened. I mean, tell me a little bit, Luxic Vue Podcast, again, episode 32, Inhouse Collective. We have the album, guys. The album to cover. We're talking about what it took you to create that album. And I know that there were circumstances just like what we've experienced here today involved in the album, because I know you guys. I've been a part of the journey as well. And I'm like, it's always easy on the outside being like, hey, well, when are you going to do it? But I don't know how many times I saw you guys, at family events and, like, hey, because everybody, wants to support. And we're just like, when's the album coming? And it's just
coming,
like, well, and so it's here. It's out.
Yeah.
We're doing it. Everything is in-house. And we're talking about how you guys got your start. And Jordan, you were mentioning before the technical difficulties, you were mentioning you got your start rapping, and then you guys had met a mutual friend, PJ, that kind of intertwined you guys, connected you guys. Was like, hey, this guy's making music too. And that's kind of neat that happened that way. And I feel that it can in many ways. And just goes to show that who can lead you down a totally different path. Like it's you're one move away from something that can change your life. And that's the way I like to look at things. You know what I mean? But tell me a little bit more about that. Like after you guys got connected, what transpired you into working together? Like you're, in the beginning, you're taking nothing and you're making it into something. And so a lot of people in today's age, like they have, like a short, not attention span, but they want it now.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Instant
they want it now.
gratification.
Exactly. Like we can't wait. We're not patient. You know what I mean? And that's not how things work. And again, kind of mention that about this album. How was that? The problems. How did you guys overcome those problems together?
We worked on it. We started on the album in 2019, and we just basic ideas, basic loops, even verses. We changed verses, we changed hooks, we did all that, and just listening to songs over and over and be like, that works, but we could do better, Like, I guess we just believed in ourselves to do better.
And and I think we drew a lot of inspiration from each other. Like it was like maybe me on my own, I wouldn't have come this far. You know what I mean? But seeing that Kay had a passion for it, and Jordan J2K had a passion for it, that inspired me to also have the same amount of passion for it. You know what I mean? So it's like,
You're like, hey, my brothers are doing it. And it's like, it's motivating. You know what I mean?
There were days like maybe like pick a day, Thursday morning, you know, maybe I'd be off and been literally like 9 o'clock in the morning, be like, hey, come over, let's just make a song, you know? Yeah. Come over, okay, make a song. Literally like maybe in an hour, you know, like just real quick, and I'd say it's just a lot easier making songs around these guys just being there, you know, the inspiration is just there.
I would say inspiration for sure, like, because like you don't see many people doing this, like, obviously a lot of people make music, but just in like the city that we were like all raised in, there's not that many people that were doing it when we were doing it, or like the way we wanted to do it essentially. And like seeing these guys do something similar to like something you were like very passionate about, and then being your age, and like before like we even made music, we were just friends, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we didn't like before I even knew they had a similar passion that I had, we were just like kicking it, just like playing like basketball and stuff, you know, like after school. So like it was so cool, like when we all kind of just synced together and we're like, oh, like we all like music, you know, but like, and we all like creating. So like, I don't know, it was just cool when it was easier to write and to make music and just to create stuff with these guys after like I found out they had similar.
The energy was there.
Yeah, the energy was always there.
Yeah. I've been fortunate to actually experience one of those sessions. You know, you guys actually helped me with the song Most High. I mean, thank you for that. You guys came in clutch, and it was interesting when I had that idea, but just being a part of that short, you know, period of time that we all worked on it together, I told you guys like, hey man, this is awesome. You know, you guys do this on a regular, you know, I got to experience that. And I mean, tell me a little bit more about that atmosphere. Do you think that continues to, again, like you said, it adds to the motivation, inspiration. I mean, at what point did you guys figure out like, hey, I want to make an album, like let's all collaborate?
I think it's when we realized that within each of ourselves we had a group of people that supported us. Yeah. Whether it was just our family or just our friends, you know, Jordan had a group of people he could say that supported him, and I could say I had a group, and Kay could say he had a group, and so it was like that made us believe in ourselves enough that we said like fuck it, like let's get together, like who's gonna stop us, you know what I mean, like three of us together, like
because we were all doing it, like we were all trying to do it separately when we started, you know.
Oh, okay.
So like it wasn't like it was never like a group thing. Like okay, like we were all like wanted to be a group, but we just kind of like we were with each other a lot, but we were just like doing our own thing essentially when we got into music, trying to like find our own sound together or like separately. And then like once we kind of like developed that for each other, like our own sounds essentially, and our own essentially support systems, you know, that could put the battery in our back to keep going. I think that once we all like were like, okay, like we could do this together, and like we just kind of started collabing, and it wasn't even anything like planned or anything. We just kind of like started like making songs together, and we're like, this is something special, you know, so like we should expand on it and like maybe, you know, start something. And the album wasn't like I said, it wasn't anything planned either. It was just a lot of recordings that we had throughout the years, like he said, we started in 2019 or something, and that was like so long ago. And some of those,
that's crazy to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Like the time frame, like I met a lot of you in 2016, 17, 18, around that time, and you guys, like I said, were in high school making music, and I was like, all right, you know, listening to it in my truck when I was living out in San Diego, and then going to your shows, Sacramento, you know, Santa Maria, like all these different things, seeing you guys perform. I mean, that was awesome, because I'm just like, man, I remember taking my camera, you know, shooting you guys, you know, over there, and it's just awesome. And I remember also seeing a young girl after a performance, she's like, hey, can I have your autograph, you know? And just seeing how you're touching other people's lives, like I think that regardless, like on the ground level, it goes a long way, you know what I mean? Like exactly. And you never know what your message or who's it's gonna fall onto. You know what I mean? And who's going to resonate with your probably music, right? But that goes along with anything that we do. If you know, when you kind of look at that, but it's so neat to see you guys working in unison together individually, and to pursue like your passion. You know what I mean? So you have a lot of different tracks. I mean, and we kind of mentioned it before. This is obviously going to be edited in, but we were talking a little bit about making all of these songs, and you said essentially they came from scratch, right? Like that's the message of In-House is everything comes from like us, essentially, from idea to what we hear.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, yeah. That was the goal. Like we wanted to just be 100%. It's like you hear people sampling songs, you know what I mean? Like sampling to make their own songs. We wanted to be the people that in the future people sample our songs to make their songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like we wanted to be original, you know, make it ourselves, and it's like people will draw inspiration from the stuff we made to make their shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
I heard. Go ahead.
And it's not like that no one else is original. Obviously, people probably do the same, have the same like workflow. But we just wanted to, because we knew that like the three of us together, like our ideas like are special. Not that they're any better or worse than anyone else's, but we just knew there was something different. And like I think that's why we wanted to get those ideas out. You know, just raw those ideas. No. Kind of obviously we draw inspiration from other people, but like together we're kind of just like one, if that makes sense. I don't know.
And I'd say it's also like almost like a business move too. Like let's say I say a lot of artists might like buy beats, you know, and when you do that, you owe most of the profit,
licensing,
off the beat.
everything.
You know, you owe it all to the producer or whoever they got it from. But we wanted to, let's say a song blew up, all the profits will come to us. Doesn't matter which song.
Makes sense. You're not giving any pieces of the pie to somebody when you could essentially do it yourself
and get all.
And it's not even a diss to like anyone else. Like it's just something like, okay, like we've put in all this time and effort and like to learning our craft and to owning it, like, and to like, we just got it down to a science that we could just do it ourselves, you know. So I think that's like the cool thing about it. Like,
I think that's actually really genius of you, and you know it is a business move, and that's essentially what a lot of other companies do too. You have to figure out a way to get a higher profit margin, and you know, in this world, everything works that way. Literally everything is a business in this world, and sometimes we realize it, sometimes we don't. But I've seen it on the back end, like hospitals, everything. It's crazy. But what you guys are doing is genius. What I wanted to talk about is like a lot of people don't know. You guys have helped me with a lot of other projects. Like from when I first started the podcast, the intro music and everything has been Case. All of the songs, everything, all of the beats in any of the videos you guys see, any of the past interviews that I've done, where I have intro videos. You know, I did one of them out in Bakersfield at Vita Vegan. Shout out Vita Vegan. They're a spot that I go out to eat. Taking a lot of family friends out there. But when I did their video, I asked Kay for a beat to go with the song, or not the song, excuse me, but the vibe of the video before the intro, and I just thought it was awesome. And that just goes to show, like, I've supported you. I'm going to continue to support you guys because I believe in you. And I want to talk a little bit, you know, we're talking music, talk a little bit about where you come from. You know, I know we're all from Porterville. I'm from a different kind of like demographic and age, you know what I mean? So like a lot of things I know out there has changed. And you said like not a lot of people were making music, but I want to say like I've seen quite a growth in music out there, and I feel like you guys have contributed a lot to the people in your connections as well, I would say. And I mean, I know everybody, you know, we're all doing our own thing, but I mean, would you say that, like, because I know you've had events where you help people that were interested, right? You got like a summer or two ago, you were having these pop-ups where people that write, make music would come over.
It was called Rap Camp.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to talk about that?
No, we had it at your house.
I mean, it was just like, so we had this idea just kind of to, because when we started making music, there weren't as many creatives, I guess, or like people doing the same thing that we were doing, you know, or like at least our age, or like, you know, that we knew essentially, because we didn't know too many people in high school or whatever.
Oh, okay.
So like after high school, we kind of like the music scene started to grow a little bit, at least in what like the hip hop scene, and we were just like started. I just posted, or like we came up with the idea just to like, we wanted to collab with a bunch of people at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And like, so we just sent out like we were like, okay, we're gonna like host this cool thing at my house, and we're gonna like, if you make music or like you rap or whatever, you
produce
like,
anything
like come through, like producers, etc. Artists, etc.
Even if you wanted to
Open
watch.
invitation.
Even if you just wanted to fucking come and
Yeah,
see,
even
bro.
if you just wanted to chill. Even if you just,
like,
a lot of people just came like and didn't do like much. They just came and chilled. You know what I'm saying? But
Did you guys charge?
No,
it
made
would
it
just
free?
it was just in my
It was just
literally
in
in my
his
room,
backyard,
in my
bro, like,
backyard and my room. We had two
We had
sessions,
two different setups.
two different
yeah.
sessions. We were in my room and then we were in the backyard, and like that's literally what we were doing.
making
And-
beats and songs.
Yeah, it
like,
was so cool. And we came up with like 8 probably like files or something like that whole day. And
Dang.
it would just like 8 different demos, and it was so cool. And we just did it like one day, and we were just like but yeah, it would just like, I don't know if anybody wanted to touch on it, but like that was like the gist.
that
of
was
it.
cool, bro. Like I met some like. Obviously, I knew of these people like because they would hit me up or like my stuff. You know, I knew of these people that also were making music, but it's like the amount of people that showed up that day and wanted to contribute something to a song was like, it was cool as fuck, bro. Like it made me realize like, damn, like
Just to connect.
like how far we actually came. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was cool. Like it was super cool.
Yeah.
And like going back to when you guys were around, like in and out of high school, a lot of people don't know, because you guys are really good singers, by the way, in all that you do, singing, writing, rapping, I mean, whatever it may be. Like I'm always vibing to your stuff. Everybody here, I probably sent them like at least 10 songs, or if not, they're around it. They see what, you know what I mean? It's just in me, because I believe so heavily in what you guys do, because I've seen you progress in it. You know what I mean? I've seen the progression, and I've seen, I mean, when I was asking you about it earlier, Kay, and even, Jordan, was asking you guys about your previous projects, and you were saying that you had a little bit of a weird relationship with just things that you have shared. And I kind of sometimes feel the same way of just anything I do. If you go back to like the first episodes of this podcast, I didn't have these cool mic setups. I didn't have this voice. I had there was one I remember, man, I felt bad for the interview, but voice wasn't there. Like it was my fault. But it just goes with that learning and the progression and the gist of it all. But kind of touching base, because I want to highlight Everything Is In-House, the album. You have many great tracks. It's a list of 13 songs, right?
Yep.
13.
I think 13.
Yeah.
I think
13 or 12.
I don't know, honestly.
Yeah,
It's like,
they're great songs. I was listening to it on repeat.
Our
10
management
cutouts.
knows. Our
Honestly,
management
we make
knows.
so many songs, bro. It's hard to keep track.
Well, I remember when we did the listening party, like we played a lot. I felt like there were some more. You guys cut some, huh?
Yeah, I think we played more than that we had.
I think we
put
had like
out.
15 on the
Yeah,
original.
we had like 15 or 16
and
songs.
cut it to like 12 or 13.
Okay. Yeah, I really like a lot of what you chose.
Oh, we had 20.
20.
Yeah, 20.
On the original?
Yeah,
20 original?
All right.
Dang,
Got
yeah.
corrected.
So, yeah, because I remember it was long, and I'm like, oh, man, we were going for a while.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
20 songs.
Like,
man.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
excited.
But the ones that you chose, I will say, like, I replayed it on repeat, shuffled, did a few things, and I just feel like it all goes in sequence. Like you got your highs and then you got your lowers, but that goes with what we are experiencing in this everyday life, right? And I would imagine like there's a lot of emotion that comes from a lot of those songs. Like, man, I'm just like, bro,
100%.
you know what I'm saying? Like it just hits hard, it hits home. I feel like if I could resonate with it, I don't really see in many ways who can't, because in today's world, just touching base on music, bringing just in general, like just all of the music out there. I mean, there's so many different forms of music, and that's the crazy thing about it. But when I look down to the bottom level of it, I mean, most people, I feel like, just want to vibe to something. And I feel like what you guys are creating is that vibe. You're creating your own vibe, and you're allowing people to tune in to that. And I just think it's the coolest thing ever. You know what I mean? It's literally the coolest thing. I mean, you even have me inspiring me to make music, and I'm like, just by sitting with you guys, I'm like, dang, I'm on the album, the next one. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
It's funny because I joke about it, but it's like, man, I love you guys. Everything is in-house. The beat is not complete without in-house.
I love you too.
Appreciate that, brother. Now, I know that you guys have other supporters. We got family we're talking about, and you guys mentioned earlier the support system. I really kind of want to hone in on that, because like not a lot of people always have that, especially in things like this. And I know at some points it got rough. I'm sure each individual person, and I've experienced that in my own time as well, and I've had those moments. But looking back at it, like what pulled you to actually continue on and pursue it individually? I know that you have the support of each other, but like I know that we can't drag each other to do something. You know what I mean? Like And sometimes I feel that way of even creating, you know, the podcast, you know, or in anything else that I'm doing, Luxic Vue. Sometimes it's kind of hard to prioritize the time to do it because we only have 24 hours in a day. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's so easy to get discouraged, especially when making music. There's so many people that want to do the same thing as you and show people something they haven't heard before but they want to hear. And social media has made it to where it's easily so discourageable to think you're not making any progress and think you're not making any real impact. But I think what led me to keep going is seeing firsthand the impact I'm making, like on my younger siblings. You know, they love my songs, they sing my songs, they know you
were telling me about
every
that
single word. Yeah, my little brother got in trouble for showing his second grade class one of my songs that I'm talking about, like I got guns and shit, like, you know what I mean? So it's like I see the impact I have on their lives and the influence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like they hear what I'm saying, and and that in return makes me want to be a better artist, you know, and be more aware of the stuff I'm putting out, but at the same time keep going, you know, like
that's awesome that you know, for yourself realize those things, and not that it's good or bad, but like we all have our own revelations in life about certain things, you know. And I mean, there was one time too where I went to a jiu-jitsu class and they're like, I met some younger kids that were like, oh, I watched your interview with Mark Felix. You guys have met Mark Felix. But it's crazy when you come to those realizations, right? I remember you telling me about that situation. What would you say for yourself, Kay?
I think, what was the question again?
No, so we were just talking about like what drove you to continue to like to pursue what we're doing.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is these guys right here. I think if I didn't like have homies, like firsthand homies that I just like talk to every single day
outside of music.
Yeah, outside of music, that, and like before all the music, like I think I wouldn't. I think I would have the passion, because I think I'm always have the passion for music. Like that's something that was instilled in me, and like since I was born, and I think it's gonna stand with me through the day I die. But I think the motivation to keep going, I think a big part of them is these guys, because like they've been like making tunes all the time with me, without me, like, but like we'd always send each other our songs, and we'd always like talk about like music just together. And I think that's like the coolest thing ever, just talking about music with your friends and just making things that like weren't here. I'm so infatuated with creation and like how stuff is not like, you can make something that's wasn't here to like 2 hours ago, like nothing, out of the like thin air, exactly. And I think that's why, I don't know, I just love it, and I think it's incredible. And I think that has a lot, the other part, you know, I think that's what
I want to highlight on that too. I mean, in talking about that, you're talking essentially about like dreaming, like, and having that support system has allowed you guys to continue to dream, because there's many things in this world, man, that can take that away, or that feel like it takes it away, right? And I'm sure, you know, as young men, you guys have experienced maybe moments, you know, in that. I mean, tell me about something that's maybe held up the album that, you know, someone maybe can relate to, like in making this album.
I'd say maybe like, it might be a little bit of overthinking, but just we want our message to get across. I mean, for me, maybe like I wanted like a perfect album, one album that like 20 years from now we could look back and say, this thing flows smooth, like nice. even in like comparison to like people who've won Grammys almost, like I wanted just to be compared to that. And I truly, even to this day, I believe Everything Is In-House could be compared to that. Like from front to back, there's not one song or one lyric or one chorus or down to the beats that lag, or that like, you know, like,
yeah,
I just believe it. And I might be a little bit of overthinking, you know, maybe like,
it's like perfection, like trying to be,
perfection.
I mean, you guys see how I was like trying to run the podcast, so
exactly.
It's like, it's exactly that.
Yeah.
I think we were just trying to like make it to, we all had different ideas of what perfect was for the album, you know. So
like 3 people,
exactly.
Yep.
And it wasn't even just 3 people. There was.
But you got the team.
We had the whole team. Yeah, like there's.
Shout out.
This
team.
is just, we kind of just we're like the artists. Well, I mean, we're all artists essentially, but we kind of like, we're on the album essentially, you know.
We make the music.
Yeah, but there's also a whole other like there's also a whole nother list of people that the music goes to before it goes to the public. You know? By the way. Yeah, shout out Tim in the building.
He's
the manager,
our biggest supporter.
Biggest supporter.
He gonna say he gonna try and act like he's not a part of it. None of this shit would happen without him.
Yeah,
bro.
exactly.
I promise you, none of this shit would happen without him.
For sure.
So it's like,
actually, come make an appearance, brother. You guys can actually
even
come
down to Adrian.
show through
Adrian,
real quick.
Come through, Adrian.
Come
Adrian. Yeah, shout Adrian too. Come up here. He's just a big homie.
I mean, like, one thing we believe in is like you need vibe creators. You need people around you, like even if they're not on it, to just support you. You know, to tell you like what's wrong, right?
And we don't, and they're not yes men either. Like they don't just like you know they don't like we don't make a song and they're not just like agreeing with everything that we put out. You know what I'm saying? Like if something's like weak, they'll tell us. Like that's like they'll tell us their opinion on it. They'll tell us their opinion on it. Like you know what I'm saying? And I think that's important. Like when you have, you know, you could get lost in like just your homies essentially telling you like what you want to hear and like the nice thing, you know.
Yeah.
But that's not always
having that tough conversation.
Yeah, that's not always the tough conversation that you need to have, or like. And I feel like we can do that and remain, you know, neutral and remain homies. And I think we built that bond with each other. So I think that's like.
I mean,
so
that has to be a deep bond because it's a project that you're putting on together, and so it goes through all of the hands. You know what I mean? And that's hard to do. And I mean, even you know myself. Shout out John. He's the other half of Luxic Vue. He's been with me since day one. You know John. You guys know John.
Yep.
I love him. But that's always the hard part in doing things. You know what I mean? Because it's like, you know, you're in different areas sometimes too. Exactly. You know, you're working, you're out, you know, different schedules. Like there's a lot that goes into it, and it's so amazing to see you guys put out the album. Everything's in house. I mean, tell me about your favorite project. I know I have like Intro is my favorite, like one of the favorites. Man, I love the melody. MIA, Leave Me Alone. I mean, man, there's the list goes on.
Yes, sir.
I want to share this. I've never told anyone this.
I know this.
I've never told anyone this, but I want to share. Rockstar is one of my favorite tracks because, not to say that I can't make a song by myself, but I always limited myself to where I could just make an idea and Kay could help me further that idea, or Jordan could help me further that idea. You know, I never thought of myself as like someone who could just from front to back make a whole song by myself. You know what I mean? And
so like the beat, everything?
Yes, exactly. So it's like, and Rockstar was a song that me and Jordan actually just made on our very own. Like, and I helped him, you know, we both had an equal share in it. And it's like, to me, that song showed me that I could do it, like, on my own. You know what I mean? Like, I have that potential.
So what would you say that you started in the beginning of your career? Like, how
more
did you...
as a writer. More as, like, I could kind of pitch an idea, and Kay and Jordan can make it come to life.
So Kay on the beats?
Yes. Very
Jordan as well, right?
As well, yeah. They're both, I feel like they're both fucking amazing producers.
Isn't that crazy that, like, it's like almost like a yin and yang in the colors that you're wearing, the blue, the red, and you're in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Naturally, like, you can't plan that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's awesome to, I mean, just kind of witness and to, you know, be able to see that. So did both Kay and Jordan, did you guys start writing as well first, or make beats, or how did that work?
I started writing, you know, just writing maybe like beats online or whatever, and then I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't until like I saw these guys like producing their own songs, I was like, if they can, like, why can't I do it too? So I'd say that's just how it began, you know. And it's honestly like, I'd say it's not that difficult. Like he said, like, you need to see someone do it, and then like, hey, like, I could do this too, you know. And just, I guess that's it, you know. Nothing else.
And you're talking about for the album, or you're talking about for just in general?
Well, for the album and in general, like when your origin.
Okay, I kind of just like, well, I don't even know what the question.
I mean,
was.
I've known you to play like different instruments, you know, guitar, I mean, piano, you know what I'm saying, and just building off of that, like, because Ben was talking about Rockstar, how that was one of his favorites because them two worked together. Okay, you know what I mean, specifically on that. And I just want to know, like, in all of the tracks, like, what was your like involvement on each one, like. You know, because everything's in-house. Most people don't know. You know, they don't know you guys. But for the people, like, this is just an in-depth, like, the tip of the iceberg. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I would say, for me at least, I started, like, I always, like, make instrumentals and, like, beats, essentially. You know, I'll do that from time to time just because that's something that I always done, and something that I started taking like seriously more, like always more seriously, like every year, as like ever since like I started doing it like in high school and stuff. And so I would say like for the most part I would always kind of just play like an instrumental for these guys, and like they'd be like, oh, this is cool, or like this is not cool, and like they'd write to it, or like they wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how everything started as far as like the tape goes, or like as far as the album that we put out. But yeah, like and as far as like producing goes, like for me, I just started doing it because I was like, you know, I just had a big head when I was younger, and I was like, I could do this, like, you know.
I say one thing about Kay, he has a good ear for tune. Like he's able to.
Definitely the best of all of us.
I say like I could like make these trap beats or whatever, but the 808s are like not in tune at all. And you know, I'd always bring it to Kay, like, hey, tune these, or like might even remake them to his.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing. Before like the beats or before I even did anything, I think I was really like in tune with music. Like I realized, like I heard it like not like
as a kid from like when you were born.
Like I always like had a specific taste for music. Not that I had like a better taste or like a worse taste than anyone, but I had like I knew kind of what I liked, you know.
I want to talk about that a little bit, and we'll backtrack because I know, you know, the backstory. But like, you know, your grandfather played guitar and sang, and then so did my Uncle Patrick. You know, did that have something to do with your taste in music? Because I noticed a lot of your music as well. You have like a jazz flow, and one of my good buddies, Mitch,
shout out Mitch,
shout out Mitch. He's like, bro, Kayfromfaraway.
That's my dog.
He's like, I just feel that soul, that jazz, and I like at that time, I don't think that like. I blame my dad, but I grew up around rap all my life. So, like, you know what I'm saying? So that's like dominantly, you know, shout out to my dad, Jesse Pacheco. But dominantly, like, that's overtaken the majority of my taste. And that explains the beat that I had for most, you know, I was just in a zone, you know. But going back to that, like, you have like that different genre, and like, I don't want to put a label on you guys, because I realize that like there is no label to music. It's just like, it's a feeling, it's a mood, it's, you know. And tell me a little more about that, because I know that there's a lot to kind of touch on that. You all shook your head in a good way.
Yeah, definitely. I want to touch on that specifically because I feel like out of the three of us, I was the last one to really find a sound I was comfortable in, like before I could say like, okay, that's what I want to make. You know what I mean? Like I fucking made everything, bro. From conscious rap to like pop music to like dance music to like dance music to like fucking even Spanish. Like, dude, everything. Like I couldn't find my sound, and it's like I think experimenting with all those gave me a real feel for music, you know, and I could appreciate every kind of music for that, you know what I mean? It's not like I just listen to fucking rap all day, you know, like like I love like so much types of music. It's not even funny, bro. So it's like, yeah.
I want to say that I believe strongly that there is no in today's like era of music, there's no such thing as a genre, or at least I don't abide by any genre, you know. Like I go into a session and I make whatever sounds good to me, you know, because I think it's a big part too, playing, like going back to when I was younger. I didn't really listen to one, you know, genre of music. The only, you know, I grew up on like a lot of like contemporary Christian music and just like stuff that like my dad played, you know, and like some rock alternative stuff. But
my Uncle Patrick was very conscious about that.
Shout out.
Yeah, and I abided by it too. I'm like, dang, you know, I got to watch what I listen to.
Yeah, exactly. And then when I got older, I kind of like, you know, started to be rebellious essentially in what I listened to, and I started to go out into like just a bunch of different things. So I was exposed to like a bunch of stuff late in my life, you know. So it wasn't like I grew up on one specific genre of music that I'm making now, you know.
That's crazy how that happened.
So I think, yeah, exactly. So I think that's why now in today's age, like I don't think, at least for me, when I go into a session, I don't ever specify anything that I'm making. You know, I'm not going into making a hip hop song or an R&B song or a jazz song or nothing. I just kind of take elements from every genre that I like, and, you know, whatever sounds good at the time, that's kind of what I'll do. And that's what we do essentially, or like that's how a lot of our stuff is started, if that makes sense. I don't know.
No, yeah, I mean, totally. I'm following along. And as you're talking about these things, I'm thinking of like a lot of your individually and together, your earlier songs from the vault. Like I'm talking 2017, 18, you know, like I was mentioning earlier, I was vibing out to those, and, you know, and I remember your song, it was like more of, you know, it was I think it was Backpack. I like that song.
Yeah.
Do you remember bro?
Backpack's
It was
so amazing.
I was like, man.
And shout out PJ again. That's my dog.
Yeah, I was like, man, you know, like I've been vibing with it. So I love what you guys are doing. You know, I support the message, the album, you know, everything you guys are trying to get out there, just because it's something outside of like your ordinary. You know what I mean? It's something that you believe in, and it's something that's your own, uniquely you, if you will. You know, just like people have other hobbies and other things, like this is one, and you guys are continuing to pursue that and pour into it. You know, it's your heart, soul, it's the bloodline, you know, within you. So back to the question really quick, because I wanted to know, you talked about your favorite song. I wanted to touch base on your favorite songs from the album.
You know, go.
I'd say maybe mine, like down to the creation of it. I really like the way we made MIA.
That's fire.
That's a vibe.
That song is crazy.
Banger.
That was like one of the last ones we made too, probably. On the
Yeah,
record.
we had this. I'll just say it. One of our favorite songs is what's that Drake song?
There's so many. How you?
You know what I'm talking about?
That
Which
one?
one? I don't know. I have a lot of my favorite ones are.
Are you sure it's a
Feel No
Drake?
Ways? Feel No Ways.
Oh, Feel
Feel No
No Ways,
Ways.
okay.
We were listening to that on a
On
car
Views.
ride. Yeah, we're going to the gas station.
It's my first time hearing this story.
Some
But-
nah.
Just
We're
like
we're
drinks,
listening
huh?
to Feel No Ways, and then like we just like, if you listen to Feel No Ways and MIA, the drums are like, I wouldn't say they're the same drums, but like the idea of the drums are just there, and we wanted to make a song like that where like you could get in your feels almost
Okay.
like with the vibe, and
Yeah.
and I remember I told Kate
Okay,
when we
now.
hopped in the studio, I was like, make some drums that are out of pocket.
Yeah, something
But-
not like of the ordinary on that.
Out of the ordinary,
Out of the
and,
ordinary.
and I remember he did it, and then Ben added onto some synths too, and
Yeah, Ben played keys for that record.
played keys
which was
for it.
crazy.
Dang, dude, yeah. I'll just say,
And I remember just being there, and I was just like, "This is perfect right here." You know, like
Fire.
I'm
It
thinking of
just
it right
flowed.
now. I'm just like,
it just
Am
flowed.
I-
Yeah, that's
you know-
tune right there.
seriously. So, as a matter of fact, you know, by the time that this airs, the video will be in and around the same time about MIA. Let's talk about that. I mean, as a supporter and advocate, you know, some might say a sponsor. You don't really need to have that label, but like, I believe in you guys so much that, you know, we're doing this. You know, you guys are going to be producing, you know, multiple videos for the album that we'll share across, and it'll be basically your, you know, through the favorite tracks. And MIA is the more recent one that we're going to be working on. So by the time you watch this, you'll probably see the video in and around that time. But you know, to touch base on that, you know, kind of mentioning favorite tracks. What was yours?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna take a sip of water. real
No,
quick.
go for it. Go for
It's very
it.
dry.
Can I get water really quick as well? Thank you. Got an amazing team.
Yeah, shout out to
Amazing.
LXV,
Shout out to
LXV
LXV team.
podcast and the
Luxic
team.
Vue.
It was crazy.
I was gonna wear my Luxic Vue sweater, but it was just too
Yeah,
fucking
I know.
hot. It was just too damn hot for that shit.
We're gonna have more Luxic Vue gear coming out
Cool.
because
Yeah.
everybody, including James over there,
out to
James is
man.
like, "Hey, bro, I need some more gear."
I ain't see him.
No, it's fine. Yeah, you just bring it real quick. You can do that.
Um,
Yeah, anything you guys want to mention? I mean, anything you guys want to mention? Thank you very much. Anything you guys want to mention? You know, you got a good support system, teams. You gave some shout outs, but like in the future, can I actually get a cup too? Sorry.
I'll just mention my favorite song real quick. My bad. My favorite song is a song called "Ghetto Love Letter." That song is pretty cool. I think why I think I like it so much is because we made it on a trip, like a kind of like a guys trip. We just kind of went all to the
Little getaway.
the whole squad and
the
like
Bay.
all the homies came to. We went to, where did we go?
Discovery Bay.
Discovery Bay. I don't know where that's at, but it's kind of like in the Bay Area.
It's
Just like some
Sacramento.
Airbnb, bro.
Yeah, just some random Airbnb, but it was like so cool. There was like a lake in the back, and the vibes were just so like immaculate that weekend.
It was there.
It was there, and we were like, we knew there was something special because we knocked out like 4 songs on the album that we didn't know were gonna be on the album, but like we knocked out them that day, or like 4 ideas, you know,
Within 2 days.
within like 2 days, like over the weekend, and we were just like, it was so cool, and then we just had a good time. And Ghetto Love Letter happened to be one of those records that we started, and yeah, it was a good time, and that's one of my favorite records on the tape.
So who put that beat together? Who contributed?
I started with I did. I started with like the sample or whatever. Like I just kind of like, there was a sample and like I chopped it up and like played it like differently than how it was played originally, and then it was just like a simple loop, and I thought it was like good enough to, you know, it had longevity to last the whole song, you know. and we put some drums on it. I think Jordan helped me with the drums a little bit, and then PJ was there. PJ helped with the production a little bit.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. And we actually have an original demo with him on it, which is insane, but the world may hear that one day.
Yeah, would that be on the
the deluxe?
The deluxe?
Yeah, the deluxe.
Hey, we're trying to get it cleared, honestly.
Okay. Dang, you got to go through clearance.
Yeah. But yeah, that was a good time, and it was just insane that day. I have a lot of love for that record.
Yeah, I mean, again, all amazing songs that you guys have on the album. For those that have not listened to it, go tune in. Everything's in-house on Spotify, Apple Music. You know, we got music videos on the way, about to come through. So tell me a little bit about maybe anything. I mean, that's a fairly new album. It took you guys a few years. Have you guys tapped into anything recently, like writing, making beats, doing anything?
No, honestly, no, not in the past couple of weeks. But we honestly made so many tracks for the first album that.
Oh yeah, you were mentioning there's like 8 or 9 that didn't make.
We haven't cut out the idea of using any of those for the new album. You know?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
I would just imagine you're continuing to make more, and it's like, you know.
Yeah, and I don't think it's been ever. We haven't had like a discussion, or like, and not that we have to have one, but we haven't had we've kind of just been like working on a bunch of like solo stuff. Like right after the project, like we were like, after like 5 years of working on this thing together, we were like, all right, it's not like we talked about like, okay, like we're just gonna work on individual things, but like we just kind of like separately, you know, been doing our own thing, and like obviously in life, and we just been working on different things. But there's definitely going to be an in-house project for sure, a next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we could touch on some of the individual things that you guys are doing. Jordan's album came out. Ben's is on the way.
Sir.
Yep.
I know that. Caleb, you know, mentioned a little bit about the band, Purple Pops.
I'm in a band. I have a lot of musical ventures, but Purple Pops is one of them. And yeah, we're not... we're just a band, 4-piece band that I started like.
Hey, but it's awesome if you ever been to the shows. I mean, I've been to it. Yeah, I've been to a few. Like, it's crazy. They do they so talented. I mean, be able to create and then replicate other music, other popular songs that have been out that I grew up to. Like, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, we play a lot of like just songs that we like love. Honestly, like a lot of covers, and we're not necessarily a cover band. We have some originals, but. Yeah, I think that's just a musical, you know, expression for me, being in the band and kind of being able to play like music that necessarily I wouldn't be able to play, you know, not necessarily like with these guys or like with any, cause like, or like myself, like I make music, you know, but not necessarily like a lot of the music that I grew up on is not what I, you know, made, like a lot of like heavy metal and like rock and stuff, and I think that's cool just to do a bunch of different things.
I mean, you see that from a lot of different artists as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's like you said earlier, it's like in this day and age, in anything, not just music, but in anything, it's almost hard to try to put yourself in a box. You know what I mean? Yeah, because the moment that you do that, you're not allowing your own finesse to, you know, be involved. Like you're not relying on what makes you. Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you really can't limit yourself, especially when it comes to music. You can't limit yourself to one sound or one genre or one technique even. Like, you got to really see what other people do and, like, draw inspiration from. Like, it's like music's for everyone, but it's for the world. Like, it's like, I don't think it ever belongs to one person, you know what I mean? So it's like...
And I think that goes back to, like, why we, like, don't really believe in a genre, essentially just one genre, or like one genre of music that we could make, you know. We're not necessarily locked in that space or that box, you know. We could expand and do other things.
And I'd say it's also about like life in general. Like you gotta grow as an artist, grow as a person. You gotta...
That's deep.
You gotta open new doors and just like try new things.
Yeah, it's like the same, like you're not gonna like the same thing. I mean, you might like it, but like once you grow, like you kind of, your music palette grows is with you, you know, and like you just expand and try new things, experiment, and I think that's what we're kind of big on.
Yep.
And I know, Ben, you were releasing, you're going to be releasing an album. Do you have any news on that? I don't know if you want to mention that.
Yes. So I've been pushing it off for a very long time. I want to put this album out. I actually have 3 projects that I have ready to go. So it's like I've been really holding off. You know what I mean? I have 3 whole albums I could put out. And and just through talking with like Tim, like how we showed him earlier, and Jordan and Kay, they've all inspired me, you know, to really map it out, you know what I mean, and not just have these fucking 40 songs and not know what to do with them, you know what I mean. So I've like broken them up.
Create a game plan.
Yeah, exactly. And so this summer, that's the plan, you know what I mean. Shit happens, but this summer I want to put out my first album.
Let's go.
Yeah, I want to put it out, my own individual album, you know, because obviously I'm a part of Everything's In-House.
Yeah,
that's the album we already have out, but I want to put out my own individual one. And yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to be able to highlight that. You know what I mean? Just because it's taken a while to get all of us together for individual people's schedules. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how life goes sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. Jordan, I want you to mention a little bit about your album.
So I dropped an album. I don't even remember, like February, March.
Yeah.
Like called Statement. It's like a real hip
Go
hop
stream it.
statement on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Like I just wanted to make it like what I grew up when I really fell in love with music, more of like that underground rap, you know, like no chorus, just straight verses, bars, and all that. I wanted to make an album like that, and I'd say that was the album right there, Statement.
It definitely did make statements. I say, like I listened to a lot. I watched the videos. I'm like, dang,
fire.
Yeah, seriously, it feeds the soul in that area. You know what I'm saying? It's a perfect gym album too. It's like, hey, we're out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That I'd say also. Sorry.
No, you're good.
That album too is also like essentially Everything's In-House. You know, there's songs by me produced. I mean, there's also songs, I'm not gonna lie, by YouTubers, YouTube beats, and there's also like 3 or 4 songs produced by Kay.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's just, I guess, a combination of everything, you know?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to do anything. My album will also feature songs produced by Kay.
Yeah, I mean, that goes to show, like, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
I know a lot of people that reach out for you for beats, like not just in music, but like in general. Like I talked about again, you know, you being the official sound of the Luxic Vue Podcast, yes, like for the majority up until I started dabbling around in other things. Like I had a Kanye song at one point. Like I thought it was bad as the Off the Grid. Yeah.
Off the Grid.
Yeah, that song went hard, but it's cool to create those vibes, to create the beats, you know. And I just wanted to bring you guys on because I wanted to highlight the album, everything you guys are doing. I'm, you know, one of your supporters. I'm here pushing you guys along, not pushing you, but like, I just believe in you guys so much, you know what I'm saying? And appreciate I know that you, when I tell you something, you take it like, hey, you know, like family, like you said, like, hey, that's family.
Facts. Yeah, you are family. Yeah. Luxic Vue is family.
Everything you've ever told me as far as like advice or like trying to put me on game, I've seen it as like a blessing. Like, oh, like this fool's just looking out for me. You know what I mean? Like, you know, because you've been through that. Because you've been through already. Like, we're 22 and you're already old. You're older than us, you know? So it's like, why wouldn't I listen? Why wouldn't I listen to you? You know what I mean? Like, you know, in a way, like, we look up to you. You know what I mean? So
I feel like, it. I appreciate that, man. You know, I don't ever like to take credit for those things because for me, the biggest thing that I like, what resonates with me and what I always think about is like, be that person that you wish you had when you were growing up. You know, exactly. I never had anybody that was like, hey, go do this, and you know, in anything. And I'm just like, I was always endeavoring. And again, like I talk about dreaming, I talk about all these things, but it's mainly because like there are a lot of people out there that'll like naysay against what you're doing, and it'll be like, you know, they just putting fear into your own plans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that happens in anything and in life. And I don't think that if you wouldn't have persevered through what you guys, you know, your own individual lives, you would have never really got to where you were. But it 100%. Was you know what I'm saying? You guys individually and as a collective did it, you know, and were able to create, I mean, one of the, in my opinion, best albums coming out of the Ville as a collective. You know, there's a lot of great artists out there, you know, but putting everything together and taking that time and that energy and that creativity, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And getting it done, like, that's awesome to see. Mm-hmm. And then seeing you guys also flourish in your own endeavors as well. You know, but I'm a big believer in everything in-house and Inhouse Collective. You got an amazing team. Again,
one thing I also like to have, like, Inhouse Collective, like, we're this group, obviously, but I say it's much deeper. Like, it's about, like, a community. Like, anyone who really wants to do it yourself, or anyone anyone who, like...
anyone who has the same, like, goals is, like... anyone who has a goal, like, you know, or anyone who wants to do things in their own...
just really about their goal. Like,
with that in their own space, like kind of like, you know, we do, other people do. Like I think that's independently, you know, I think that's kind of what we stand for. And my bad if I
that's, I mean, it's perfect that you mentioned that. But there's a quote by Dale Carnegie, and it talks about success, and it says, "Success is the progressive realization of a worthy idea," and that can mean anything for anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's not just specific to, you know, music, but that's what we're talking about today. But kind of like what you mentioned, and it is on a deeper level. You know, we're out here, we're creating the vibes, and I wanted to get you on the airwaves, the Luxic Vue airwaves, to, you know, again, push that message and share with everybody who Inhouse Collective is. But I appreciate you guys coming on, carving out the time. You know, is there any last things that you want to mention in regards to music, your own personal lives, a message for the audience before we conclude?
I mean, I just hope everyone just follows their intuition, you know, doesn't really, I mean, take other people into account, you know, but just follow your intuition. Like, you really know what's best for you. You know what you want to do, and just like, I guess, touch on what we started on, have a support system to fall back on. Because
keep the fam close.
I say these guys are like really my number one support system. You know, like I could always go to them for anything. Like, it's, even in life, you know, outside of music.
That's key right there too. Having that support system.
Yeah. That's it.
I would say, if I could say like one last thing to people, is like, don't ever hold back or like limit yourself to what you can do. You know what I mean? It's like obviously that sounds corny. Like, there's obviously things you can't physically do. You know what I mean? But it's like, but like for real, like, don't, like, you know what I mean? Like, so many people like told me it was stupid to like want to rap and like try and make a career out of it. And
you're telling me about some of the haters.
Yeah, it's like, I've had haters, bro. I've had real life fucking haters that have been like, why are you making music? And it's like, fuck that, bro. Like, it's like, like, follow your heart. Like, don't hold back. Like, do that shit. You know what I mean?
That purpose that's in your heart, it was planted there by God, I believe. You know what I'm saying?
If it's a fire inside you, bro, like, don't put that shit out. Like, go. Like, let it, like, go. Yeah.
I would say, kind of just like touching on what he said, like just do what makes you happy, and like, and also like just follow your dreams. Like, as cliche as it may sound, like I don't think I would have like, I don't think many people would believe in like such a crazy dream as like we have, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, to an extent, like I even heard Russ say this, like, you have to be delusional.
No, exactly. Yeah,
but that's in anything. I feel the same way about Luxic Vue, about what I'm doing.
Exactly.
And I've been doing this for like 8 years. I feel like, well, I'm 8 or 9. I lost count, man. It's too many. You know what I'm saying? But it is that, you know, like, you have to be sold.
Exactly.
You got to see that vision before anyone else does.
Like, if it almost falls back on, if you don't believe in yourself, who's gonna believe in you?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. That's words of wisdom right there.
And I think that the fact that we believe in ourselves enough that other people do, you know, like, and that we see, like, and when we see people like, oh, like, appreciating the music that don't necessarily even know us or like know who we are, and kind of like just believe in us, like, without even knowing who we are, just based off of the music. I think that's kind of, you know, what's led us to like believe in ourselves so much.
That's
and
neat,
just
right?
Have that faith in us. Yeah, I think it's so cool.
Yeah.
Also, one thing I like to add on is, like, I'll go to family parties and stuff, and I don't even know these guys will listen to my music, and they'll just be like, keep going, like, have you heard this guy's music? And I'm just like, dang. Like, I remember one day these guys went to Lindsay, and these little kids, I wasn't with them, but they were like, are you guys in-house? And they told me about it, and that's just crazy. Like, how, you know, how do they know about us?
Yeah, that's wild. Well, that just goes to show you put something out into the world, into the universe, you know what I mean? And things will happen. You know, you'll create your vibe, you will find your tribe. And I mean, it's no coincidence that you guys found each other and that we found each other. You know what I'm saying? Yep. But it's been a pleasure having you on the Luxic Vue Podcast. This is episode 32. I've been blessed and honored with your guys' time today. And I mean, just to conclude, guys, you know, don't forget, embrace now, doubt kills, and live your legacy.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, that's just fire.
With the song, how did you cue it?
I know. How did you cue that?
Oh my god.
I was like,
That's
wait,
crazy
is
as
that like-
fuck. Hey,
That's
fire. How did you cue that? That's actually pretty crazy.
That was insane.
That's fucking crazy.
I always felt like it was a movie.
God
right now, bro.
damn.
I was not expecting that.
Hell yeah.
I feel like
Thank you for
we're-
having us.